was talking to a good buddy of mine. There's been times in the point of 2021 where he was earning up to $2,000 a day as an insurance adjuster.
Cool.
Okay.
Hard work, not another day's of work. Hard work, that's what they say. Hard work, I earn my pay. Hard work, I get off the rock, I move on down. Got to go make.
Hi, my name is Abahi and I am a claims adjuster. If I can help you make money in this very lucrative industry, would you let me? In today's video, we go over the difference that a public adjuster makes versus an insurance adjuster. So if you're looking at, hey, which route should I take? You gotta watch this video. But first, tales from the field. And today we're coming from the Facebook field. I want to make a great announcement for you that if you're seeing negative comments from adjusters, ignore them. If the industry was that bad, why would they still be in it? This is just a tactic to try to keep you newbies out of their way. So keep going, press forward, and learn what you may earn. If you need some resources from me as far as how to get work, who's hiring, how to get licensed, you have to check out the descriptions. All of the best links are there. By the way, you can go to www.majoradjusters.com for a lot more information and resources on how to get training, how to get work, how to get started, and how to get your license. This conversation between myself and one of my trainees is about the differences between what I made as a public adjuster and what a friend of mine made as an insurance adjuster. I also got to work as an insurance adjuster last year, but because I have multiple sources of income, I really didn't count how much I made. I just used just the one income. It makes taxes and stuff like that just way easier. So everything else just goes into the bank. I think it's a good fit for anybody changing careers or looking for life-changing money. If that's you, stay tuned.
Right. There's
Okay.
two sides to becoming an adjuster. One way is the insurance adjusting. You got to get your license first to begin doing that. Okay.
Right.
There's opportunities for emergency licenses and other types of licensing. But the main thing is that if you're ready to go when that deployment comes, then you'll see the money come in. I wouldn't expect to work before August, September months, making money as a claims adjuster. Okay. It may change, but I wouldn't expect to start things going. That's hurricane season. So I was talking to a good buddy of mine. His name is Corey. There's been times in the point of 2021 where he was earning up to $2,000 a day as an insurance adjuster.
Cool.
Okay. He started differently than I did. He didn't make as many mistakes as I did. But with the mistakes that I made allowed me to understand what to do between deployments. So between deployments is where you want to be able to maintain yourself, stay in your rhythm. That way you're able to afford the renewals of the licenses, other tools. It's really good because if you quit your job to go work that deployment, you're going to need something when you come back. Okay. So we've mastered that. I have him. We've always been talking, and then you'll see me on the other side on what to do in between. So you're going to take your 40-hour course. There's 2 exams that you're going to take. I recommend taking them almost back to back. You're going to schedule that through Pearson VUE, and then once you pass, we'll go over those next steps. But we don't have to take the time to do it because you ain't passed yet.
Right.
So it took me about 18 months. Now from the time I got my license as a public adjuster was April 2020. 2021, my income earnings just from public adjusting alone was $88,000.
Okay.
Now that is a solid. You talked about that with the other day. You said that would be okay for you. Remember, I was telling you travelers started about that.
Right.
So as a PA, I'm able to have steady income whether I work a deployment or not. So that would be good
Okay.
for most people. Most people could look at public adjusting and say, oh, that's fine for me, right? I don't
Okay.
need to go out and adjust claims and stuff like that on the road because I have a family, I got kids, I can't leave.
Right.
And I like being in Atlanta. I do. I love it with my whole soul and being.
Right.
So what first also happens is then deployments do come up.
Okay.
In the state of Georgia, we can have both licenses. You can't do that with the Texas license. So I feel so bad sometimes. People ruin themselves when they get the Florida or Texas license, period. It has so many limitations and so many hurdles, so many steps. There's no reason to get it when you could just get Georgia. The two ways to make money. So now when I went and worked as an insurance adjuster, now in some states you don't even need a license to do that. But when you go work as an insurance adjuster during the deployment, you'll make a few thousand. I work hourly in the field, generally because the number of claims were small. He mainly works off a component. Okay, now that can be good, that can be bad sometimes, because if it's not a lot of claims, you get paid per claim, right? So now also during the deployments, they generally pay per hour to 25. You may work 6 to 7 days,
Okay.
10 to 12 hours, but their deployments end the quickest. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now you can use your past auto experience because you know something about cars at least, and at the very least, you know how to talk to angry customers. If you have an insurance auto claim, you are not happy. But this is just for property because auto pays the least. I'd really just start for property. But like I said, if this conversation was with anybody else,
Right.
it would be a different direction. All right. So now he mainly worked field component. Like I said, he started, I think, a little bit before I did. He had a different route. But when you go work a deployment, you do have investments. Number one, you most likely have to get licensed. Even if the emergency license, you got to pay for that. With public adjusting, you don't have to start with any investment. Now, the other costs that go into the insurance side is you're going to have to get to that location.
Okay.
That's going to cost some money too. The gas, equipment that you also have to buy. Now, in that deployment, his first deployment that he worked, it was 2 months, probably was really 2.5, but he made about 58,000 in those 2 months. Okay.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, but he didn't work for a while after that.
Okay.
Then his next opportunity to work was an hourly job for 6 months in California, Fresno. Okay. $35 an hour, but they paid for all the expenses, car, hotel, food, everything was covered. So it was a good $35 an hour.
Okay.
So that lasted 6 months though. Then he came back home. So while he was coming back home, that's when I met him. And we linked up and he made some money doing some public adjusting too. So, but what he did tell me though about more about his IA side for Hurricane Florence, that's when he started not only doing deployments, but also working daily claims. Okay. And he gave me a list of those companies that were working with him. So I'll give you those later down the line. I think that one lasted a couple of months, the Florence claim. So, but I talking to him for last year, what he made most of last year, he was he went back to California and he was doing the 35 an hour, had no expenses, but away from the family and working 12 6-hour days. So 12 6-hour days. Let's do the math on that. What was his weekly? So 40 hours at 35. That's 1,400. So that would be good for a lot of people right there. I know that's my first job out of college, I was getting 1,500 every 2 weeks. This is 14 every week while you're deployed. Now let's look at the overtime. So the overtime will have how many hours for 6 days? It's 72 hours. So 32 more hours at 35 times 1.5. So you get $52.50 an hour for 32 hours. That's $1,680, and plus 14 equals $3,080 pre-tax.
It's not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. Within about a month, you could have about 10. I mean, not a month with.
So it's right
See,
at
depending
12 grand.
Yeah, so I mean, depending on your expenses. So here's the kicker. A lot
Right.
of people get $35 an hour for deployment, the first deployment out, but no expenses are covered.
Okay.
So the hotel is taken out. That's $700 a week right there. So now your earnings are $2,100. You go and eat, you're gonna be paying for gas. That'll probably be another 100 a week. So now you at 2,000 flat. If you eat out each day, you're probably going to spend about $200 eating out in a week. So now you're down to about $1,800 per week. Still not bad.
I can manage that.
Yeah, it's still not bad, right? Okay,
Yeah,
so
that ain't too
1,800.
bad.
So in about 6 weeks, you might have in your account about 10,000, 10 to 12 after 6 weeks. So last year, he had some gaps in his workflow, and he was very blessed to not have any expenses. So for him, he was able to hit his 6 figures.
Okay.
But the average person will probably only make about $10,000 that first year. So now that's because they're working hourly. When they work component, then they're going to be having a different income level.
Okay.
So I have heard though, even hourly after about 3 months, you can do let's say about 50,000. But you know, again, I don't know their expenses. The
Right.
expenses is the real kicker there. So some people end up not working for months at a time. That's the average. My friend different, but what most people experience is the rule. He was an exception. So, but yeah, he did hit about 6 figures. Now, like I said, as a PA,
Okay.
just as a PA though, I'm at 88. I didn't have to do a lot of traveling. Actually none. I mean, I drove to Savannah.
I got you.
I have some expenses, but not as many as like the hotel and things like that. But I also worked and earned from claims as an insurance adjuster, and also with something that in the state of Georgia, there's additional streams
Okay.
just from having your adjuster license. Okay.
Right.
So now I'm not even going to count that money.
Right.
Right. I'm just going to count what I get from public adjusting because
Right.
that's what I'm going to base my whole life on, because the insurance adjusting side is unpredictable. So with that being said, my goal is to help guide you through both processes.
Right.
See which one works for you, but based on your experience, and what you want to do as a pastor, your time availability. That's the thing that on insurance adjusting, I could never say I will go back to that 7 12-hour days. I just can't do it. You got to be up at 7,
Right.
down, you got to work till 7. And even when you don't have a lot of work to do, if you're in the field, they're going to send you an email and they're going to wonder why that email hadn't been hit in a few hours. And they send the emails. We're paying you per hour. There is no time off. There's this. And I tried to leave. I'll just stay around because the companies that staff, they lose money when people get leave deployments early. And I'm good at what I do, so they want to be around. So yeah, so that's the good, the bad, and the ugly.